Hello, thank you for listening. This is the near-death experience of Bob. Bob's experience occurred on August 10th of 2018 and was documented on August 16th of 2018. 6 days. Open quote. My brother Bruce, my dog Candy, and I went in my truck across town to teach a friend how to cut roof rafters. The temperatures were very warm and projected to top out near 100 degrees that day. I got about 2 hours into the instructions when I felt very weak and had a bad headache. I noticed that I had stopped sweating. My body was on fire. I knew instantly that I had to cool off immediately. I told my friend I would meet him at a local brewery later where I could instruct him further while we cooled off. My brother and I drove to my daughter's apartment to drop off my dog. When we got there, I couldn't remember their door code, yet I go there at least 6 times a week. I called her, found out she was home, got the code, and went to her apartment. She immediately noticed that I didn't look good. She gave me a large glass of ice water and told me to lay down. I downed the water and told her I'd be okay. Then I drove to the brewery with my brother. We met my friend at the brewery 2 miles away. I continued the rafter roof cutting instructions while enjoying a beer. About a half hour after arriving, I experienced the most intense leg cramps and told my friend I had to go out to walk it off. I did so, but knew the cramps would most likely reoccur, so I told my brother I needed him to drive me home. He suggested we go to his house where I could lay on his guest bed while he rehydrated and monitored me. As soon as I laid on his guest bed, I told him I needed to get to the emergency room immediately because I knew I was in serious trouble, and if I didn't get immediate medical attention that I was going to die. Bruce helped me into the front passenger seat of his truck, then proceeded to the hospital about 7 miles away. I told Bruce that I felt like I was going to die, possibly before we got to the hospital. He called 911 to notify the hospital of my problem and that we were on the way. I called my adult kids and told them to meet us there, that I didn't think I was going to live through this event, and I wanted to say goodbye. After that call, I decided to record my last will and testament on my cell phone. We got to the hospital. An orderly came with the wheelchair to the truck, but I was unable to move my legs because I had no feeling in them at all. Bruce helped me get into the wheelchair, then they whisked me into triage and then right into the emergency room. I was placed on a bed and immediately knew that this was the end. I was not scared. I was very sad that my kids were going to be fatherless. I devoted my life to them and was looking forward to grandkids and watching my kids' future. I knew everything that was being done and said by everyone in the room. My hearing became extremely acute, as did my usually fair eyesight. The doctors and nurses continually asked me what I was feeling as they performed their jobs. I described every feeling and vision I was experiencing in detail. I felt my life slipping away multiple times. When that happened, I'd tell my family I loved them and it was time to go. I visioned the room and my physical body shrinking as my spirit was rising from my body. I saw many deceased friends and relatives looking at me and telling me it's okay. I was brought back to life repeatedly by my family who begged me not to go. This happened at least 6 times over a period of 3 hours, with each experience deeper than the last. I told my family that if I fall asleep, I will never wake up. They continued to tell me I cannot leave now and begged me to stay. They honestly are the reason I am still breathing. I distinctly remember a vision as my eyes were open of clouds clearing. I saw a tree-lined forest road with my deceased relatives and friends pointing the way. This occurred as I watched my soul rising from my body while my family begged me to stay. I felt my body convulse a few times. I said, "It's time for me to go. I love you all." Then I closed my eyes in complete comfort. It was the most peaceful feeling I had ever experienced in my life. I was unafraid of death and was now looking forward to an eternity of peace. My family shook and squeezed me while begging me to stay with them, It worked. I am still here. The doctors had already given me 2 bags of fluids and had just started a 3rd bag. I lost all feeling and control of my entire body. An x-ray technician brought in a portable x-ray machine. He wanted to take pictures of my lungs. He asked me to bend forward, but I felt like a pile of jello. I could not move any part of my body. I was able to talk slowly, see, and hear, but had no feeling anywhere else whatsoever. The doctor noticed and performed some neurologic tests to determine if I was faking it. He realized that I was not and ordered an immediate CT scan of my head, believing I may have had an actual stroke or aneurysm. The CT scan came back normal. I finally regained my body function/control after the 3rd bag of IV fluids. As the last third of the bag flowed into me, I could actually feel life flowing back into my body. It was the same feeling I had had when I had my own 2 units of blood reinfused into me after a major spinal surgery decades prior. The doctors and nurses repeatedly asked if I remembered what happened, what day it was, where I was, what city I was in, etc. I answered correctly at all times. I was completely coherent at all times and non-delusional. End quote. Bob, that's a tough story, buddy. I'm feeling horrible. I'm going to go to the brewery. Well, but I'm glad that you're okay, Bob, for sure. I was just making light of a tough situation, I'm sure, at that time. There's a couple questions here. Your consciousness, answer, I was completely aware, absolutely, of everything going on around me, every conversation, present, body, feelings, thoughts, etc. Did you enter some other unearthly world? Answer, I felt my soul as it was leaving my body and described everything to my family as it was happening. I said, it's time for me to go. I love you. Question, did you suddenly seem to understand everything? Answer, unexplainable for me. Just knew I was at complete peace with everything and everyone in my life. I felt no regrets and nothing to be ashamed of. I just wish it didn't have to end so early. Question, what was your religion prior to your experience? Answer, uncertain. Did not know whether there's a God or not, but I had a strong feeling there is something more than just evolution. Was it features consistent with your earthly beliefs? Answer, I always believed that I'd see my deceased family and friends again someday. Now I know I will for sure. That was pretty cool, too. They're pointing the way down the path. This way, Bob. Come on down. Question, what life changes occurred in your life after your experience? Answer, large changes. I do not fear death. I only ask that I be allowed to show my loved ones how much they mean to me daily until I do expire. I am much closer to family. How accurately do you remember the experience? Answer, I am 100% positive I will not survive a 5th heat stroke. Have you ever shared this experience with others? Question, are there one or several parts of your experience that are especially meaningful or significant to you? Answer, seeing deceased family and friends. Question, have you ever shared this experience with others? Answer, yes, they, brothers, kids, doctors, and nurses all experienced it with me. I described everything I was feeling, hearing, and seeing from start to finish. I was coherent and realized that I had never heard of anyone being told what a dying person was experiencing, and I wanted them to know everything. They believe everything I told them. Oh, I wonder how often that happens if you're like a doctor or something. Maybe never. Maybe this is like a rare experience. I don't know. That's amazing. What did you believe about the reality of your experience? Answer, was definitely real. Not one scintilla of doubt in my mind what I experienced wasn't real. Had I fallen asleep or stepped over the line, I am 100% positive I wouldn't be here now. Experience was definitely real. I will always know, all caps, it was real. Question: are there any other questions that we can ask to help you communicate your experience? Answer: if there were others with you during the experience, did they pull you back? And if so, how? Voice, shaking, smack to the face, etc. If others were present, did you describe everything to them as it was happening? That's what we just said, that I wonder how many times it's happening. So now I'm getting the picture. He's in the hospital with all the doctors and nurses. They've let the family in there right there. He's telling everybody he's dying. The doctors and nurses are trying to revive him. His family's chugging at him, yelling at him, don't go, don't go. He's saying, I see the light. I don't. Can you see that? Can you picture all that? I'm sure it happens something similar to that, Bob, or at least that's how I'm getting the picture from your description here, which is pretty amazing. 6 days, right? 6 days after it happened. Amazing, Bob. Thanks for sharing that with us, and I'm sure you've made an impact on many people with that. Hope you have a great day out there listening as well. Bye-bye.